Action.
Hi, my name is Lisa McLeod, and I work with Arts and Culture at the University of Rhode Island. And this is part of our Strange Fruit exhibit on lynching and hate crimes. This series of trees is from California, and they're research and work by an artist named Ken Gonzalez Days. And what he did was research on lynchings and where they happened in California. And then he went to certain areas and found the different trees. And this tree here, which is absolutely beautiful, at one time had a body hanging from it, or many bodies hanging from it. And it has, since that day, grown, 80 to 100 years. And they're beautiful trees, and it's hard to imagine them with somebody hanging from them.
This looks like a residential area almost in the background, no?
It is. I believe this was in Southern California.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's another tree that is in front of a municipal building or a courthouse in California, and has stood the test of time and has been there all of this time. And again, someone was hanging from that tree at some point.
Wow. Wow. Now I understand this next image has sort of a unique story to it. Would you tell us?
It does. This land was owned by a man in California, and at times he did have lynches hanging and rotting in this particular tree. And he sold this part of the land, but as part of the sale, this tree can never be cut down. So it's stood the test of time. It will be there until it dies.
Wow.
And it's his way of having a testament to lynching and what happened back there.
Wow. Wow. So we'll move along here to the next image.
And some of these trees have not lasted. This is the remains of a lynching tree, and it's still it's still beautiful. But you can actually if you think about what this tree represents, you can actually visualize that there would be a body hanging from a tree like this.
Yeah. It almost looks haunted, really.
Exactly, and it probably is.
Wow.
And then this just shows as he was driving around, some of the research of where he was going, and that this is what this area looks like now.
Wow.
And imagine mob scenes or lynching in somebody's backyard happening in a neighborhood like this.
Wow. That's powerful. And we have more images down here.
And this is also when he was doing his research as well, when he was driving along, and just the way that these trees look, after all this time has gone by, and you see a tree that's dead.
And you produced some work on the other side, so we're going to walk around to the other side.
Research for this exhibit and helped gather some of the materials for the exhibit. And this is Billie Holiday's Strange Fruit. Talks about her experiences with the song, singing the song. She talks about singing at the Cafe Society, and a man said to her, "Billie, come here for a minute. I want to tell you something." And she thought he was going to buy her a drink. And he said to her, "You want to see some strange fruit?" And he drew it on a napkin. And she was so incensed, and something rose up in her, that she jumped on this man and basically tried to kill him.
Wow.
And the owners of the club just said to her, "It's okay, Billie, we'll take care of him." And they dumped him out back. And what could have happened is that she could have been killed at that moment.
Wow. Billie Holiday was a soldier.
Yes, she was. And she wrote a poem called "And They Lynched Him from a Tree." And it was performed by William Grant Stills. He was one of the first black composers to write symphonies. And so together they created this work. And you can actually find it, the actual piece. Sometimes you can find it online, or in vintage record stores. You can still find the work.
Wow.
And then we move to the actual images that are in the exhibit. And this, if I had to say I had a favorite, this is really important to me. The first picture here shows a man being electrocuted in the electric chair at Sing Sing prison in New York, early 1900s. And one of the things that has happened in the past and continues to happen is that the criminal justice system has been used to keep blacks society in line. And the other picture is also someone sitting, and it is circa 1900 also. It's a bludgeoned body of an African-American man. He's been propped up. There's a cane kind of poking him up there. He's blood spattered. He's been painted and decorated. You know, and a disproportionate number of African-American men are still in jails today. And that this speaks to that practice started back, you know, in slavery and at the end of slavery in order to try to control the black population.
Wow. Wow.
And then here we have a variety of headlines around lynching, and then we see some of the different photographs and pictures of people. And the reason that we have so much of a record of lynchings is because black people were considered non-human. This was entertainment. So people's pictures were being taken, and they were kept in photo albums and passed down in families. So that's why we have so many records, and we have people's names, and we have dates. You know, invitations were printed. People came from thousands of miles around. As you see, people are posing in most of these pictures.
Yes,
you know?
yes. Wow.
You know, and then a burning like this would be called a barbecue.
Is that so?
Yeah, and you see the people's smiles on their faces. You know, this one was in Omaha, Nebraska, and it was a mob of 5,000 people that attacked a county courthouse and seized this man who was already in jail waiting trial and mob justice. You know, his body was mutilated, and then he was also shot over 1,000 times and then burned.
Who would some of these people be in this mob? Because they're with no shame, standing and smiling and waving. Who might they be?
This would be, you know, your next door neighbor. This would be the teacher of your son or daughter at school. This would be the postmaster. These would be, you know, prominent members of the community.
Wow.
And then this section talks about that the majority of people who were lynched were African American, but there were others who were lynched as well. Mexican Americans. And this picture here shows these men lined up and waiting to be executed by Texas Rangers, who were the law at that time in that area.
Wow.